Hello, I'm Karen Whalen, and I'm going to teach you how to develop a social media marketing plan. This video is the first of 13 video series entitled The Social Media Marketing Plan Process. Each video is going to define and describe one section of the plan. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the plan and instructions for the situation analysis section of the plan. When creating a plan, it's very important to begin with a situation analysis. The situation analysis is the foundation of your plan. The findings in your situation analysis will be used to justify your objectives, your strategies, and your tactics. You want to have a handle on all the trends and developments that will affect your brand. And you'll also want to have a clear understanding of your company and its strengths and weaknesses. Once you have a clear understanding of your company and the environment it competes within, then you're going to want to analyze your competitors. That's section 2, and it's called the competitive review. Knowing your competitors' positioning, the media and message strategies they're using, as well as their strengths and weaknesses, it's going to help you determine your positioning and your value proposition for your company. Social media objectives have substance and grounding when they're based on a clear understanding of your company, your environment, and your competitors. The fourth part, now that you know what your value proposition is and what your objectives are, you're going to want to define your target market and your audience personas. Then, the remainder of your plan consists of tactics and strategies that will support and help accomplish your objectives. Content, experiential, and influencer marketing tactics, paid social plans, and your social media mix are all going to work together to amplify your message. You'll create a content calendar and a schedule that will help with the consistent and smooth implementation of your plan. Your appendices will house creative samples, sources, and your content calendar. In this class, we are going to break this plan down into manageable pieces and work through them one section at a time. Once you are finished, you're going to have a professional social media marketing plan that you can use in your portfolio or for an interview. Okay, let's get started. The first part is the situation analysis. You might be asking or wondering, what the heck is a situation analysis? Well, a situation analysis refers to a collection of methods that managers use to analyze an organization's internal and external environment to understand that organization's capabilities, customers, and business environment. The situation analysis is the foundation of our plan. We need to know certain facts about our industry, company, product, competitors, and customers in order to create a clear and consistent campaign that will resonate or be meaningful to our target audience. Don't you find that communication is more meaningful when you start with listening? A social media marketing plan is a communications plan. We're deciding where, when, and how we are going to communicate a certain value proposition to a certain group of people. We are deciding how we plan to engage those people, provide something valuable for them, and bring them into our friend group. This is all pretty hard, if not impossible, to do without listening. Our first mission is to listen to the trends and factors that may have an impact on our product and our company. We start with the industry background. We need to get curious and gather information. We need to sort through all that information out there and find relevant data that will help with our understanding. We'll want to find out the size of our industry. We're going to find out how quickly is the industry growing. What are current industry trends or developments that might affect our promotional program or our product? There are also some macro environmental factors or world events and trends that could affect the demand for our product and service. There's a document in this module titled Situation Analysis Definitions. Please refer to that for clarification and definitions on each of the different categories. In this section of the industry background, the required sections are the size, the growth, the current trends and developments, and the macro environmental factors and issues of demographic, social, and cultural. There's some other macro environmental factors that you'll see listed that are highlighted in blue. Of those factors, you need to select the 3 most appropriate for your company and report on those. Okay. I've listed here some websites that you might want to use for this particular section. Always start with a Google search and see what articles and websites you can find. Okay, I encourage you also to explore beyond this list and gather the most relevant information that you can find for your report. So I'll tell you a little bit about some of these. Hiya is a website with detailed facts about companies and products, and it also includes some ratings and reviews, which is nice. Forbes, a lot of you may already be familiar with Forbes.com, and that website has an extensive variety of articles, industry information, trends, developments, all kinds of things that affect business. Hoovers is a business research database with industry highlights and insights. NerdWallet is a personal finance app which might be useful information for some products, depending on what your product is and what your market is. Trend Hunter is another one that might be useful for certain products. It's a trend spotting community, so it mostly relates to style, gadgets, tech, pop, culture, art, design, things like that. The U.S. Census Bureau provides industry information that's pretty useful. And the Pew Research Center is a great website, provides a lot of information on those macro environmental factors, trends, and issues. So this is not an exhaustive list. Again, these are just some websites that other students and I have looked at and have helped with the report. So it's a good place to start. Okay, once we've completed the industry background, the next part of this is the company description. So the first place to visit for this would be your company website. Analyze that website. Look at the value proposition. Look at the layout and the content in the website. Check out the navigation. Look at the task flow, the trust and credibility, and look at the website both from a laptop perspective and a mobile device perspective. The first part of this that you are going to report on is on the history of the company. So you'll put that in your first paragraph. And then next, look at your place in the industry. Are you the market leader? How do you find that out? Search for some annual sales figures, and sometimes you can get that with a Google search or going into Forbes or some other places that you might find. So search for those annual sales figures and then compare that to the industry size number that you determined earlier or you found earlier. If you can't find sales figures, then look at your competitors and make an educated guess. But if you can use your industry figure and your annual sales figure, and you can find out what percentage of the market you occupy. The next analysis is the SWOT analysis. You want to look at the website, but also look at social media platforms and ratings and reviews to gather objective information about your company. The SWOT analysis analyzes the strengths and the weaknesses, and it will be pretty hard to find weaknesses on a company website. So you're going to have to look to other places to get a real objective, balanced viewpoint. So the first section of the SWOT analyzes strengths and weaknesses of the company and the product or service. These factors are internal, and remember, if it's a strength or a weakness, you should be able to ask, does the company have control over this? And answer yes to each one. The second section of the SWOT analyzes opportunities and threats. These are mostly macro environmental factors. They include trends or factors that could positively impact the demand for or perception of your product or service. This is for the opportunity part of that. Okay, remember, for an opportunity to be listed, that opportunity has to exist in the world whether or not your company exists. Okay, threats, same thing. They're environmental factors that could negatively impact demand or the perception of your product or service, but similar to opportunities, you don't have any control over these factors, and they are going to happen whether or not your company exists. Okay, let's give an example of this just to make it more clear. So as an example, say we have a legal macro environmental factor, and say there's going to be a new tax law that could increase your cost of goods sold. You have no control over this tax law. You don't control whether this goes into effect or not. It is going to happen whether or not your company and your product exists, but if it does go into effect, it could negatively impact your product because this tax law going into effect, increasing your cost of goods sold, could force you to raise your prices. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're doing your SWOT analysis. Okay, and then as we dive a little deeper into the company description, we begin to look at advertising, positioning, and message strategies. So we're kind of looking at what is the company putting out into the world? What is their messaging strategy? What media are they? Where are they? What are they using? So look into the website, look into social media platforms, do Google searches, and identify your company's current target markets. There's also a handout in the module that has a list of all the websites that are listed in this PowerPoint, and also places that you can look where you can see samples of the ads that your company puts out there in the world. Okay, you're going to want to look at how and find out how is your product positioned in the industry. Now remember, positioning refers to the distinct place in the industry relative to competing brands in the minds of the consumer for your product. Okay, so think of your value proposition and identify your position in the market. Some common positioning strategies include a company might position themselves against a competitor or maybe within a category. An example of that is in the prestige car category. The Volvo is positioned as the safe alternative. Okay, some other options are positioning according to a product benefit, or according to a product attribute, or according to a usage occasion, like maybe a holiday or something like that. Could be positioned along price lines or price points. It could be positioned for a certain user or cultural symbol. A company could be a low-cost leader, something like that. So there's a lot of different positioning strategies out there, and the company that you're analyzing and doing your report on probably has a current one that they're using. So find out what that is, and you're going to do a competitive analysis, and you're going to decide whether or not you feel that that's correct and you want to go with that, or you want to think of something else, do something different. So the next step is the brand image. So what is your product's brand image? This is the impression of the product held by a real or potential customer. Describe your current brand image or your current brand persona. And then after that, your key benefits should be pretty clear to you after doing all this research and looking into this company. So think of those key benefits and figure out what are the top 3 and then report on those. The last part to the section is your brand review. So this part consists of 2 paragraphs. One is media strategies and one is message strategies. Media strategies report on where your company is sharing their message. Identify the platforms and the frequency of posts. So check out, Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all the different platforms and try and find out where they're posting and how often they're posting. And while you're doing that, you can do these 2 sections together, because the message strategy part is where you're going to report on actually what they are saying on these platforms. So we want to know, what are they saying? What is the message that they're sharing? What are they trying to do? Okay? Let's see. There we go. Okay, so here are some websites students have used for this company description section of the plan. I'll go over some of the ones that you might not be familiar with. I think all the other ones you probably will be familiar with, or you will as soon as you log into them. Social Mention is a social media search and analysis platform, and it provides a sentiment analysis of user-generated content. Basically crawls the web, looks for the company name and the sentiment or the words that are around that name, and then it decides if those words are positive or negative, and it assigns a sentiment value to that company name or product name. It also will tell you how often your company or product is being mentioned on the web, and it will also provide links to different places where it's being mentioned or different articles where it comes up or blog posts. So it's a really great site. I recommend that everybody check it out because it's kind of a fun site to play with, and just put some different company names in there and products and see what's there. Who's Talking is another similar tool. It searches conversations on the web and surrounding topics. Blog Pulse is a search engine and analytics tool for blogs, so it crawls all the blogs. And How Sociable is a social media monitoring tool that helps track a brand's magnitude across 36 different metrics. So that one's pretty neat too. This is the final section of part 1, and you're going to write out an overall assessment. I recommend that all the group members be involved in this part of the plan. This is going to set the stage for the whole rest of your report. So what you want to do is look at all of your findings and summarize them in a nice way so that when you go back to this section, you can read just this overall assessment and you'll get a good feeling for what you found. For the overall review part, look at your findings and summarize your most important issues, factors, strengths, and weaknesses. Okay? And then for the recommendations and improvements, report on the strategies and the tactics that you want to improve and change with your plan. You're going to probably wind up modifying this section after you complete your competitive review, but just based on what you know now, identify that. Okay? Some students ask me on the situation analysis, should I write things in a paragraph form or should I write them in a bullet form? Your SWOT analysis is better in a bullet form. Your size of your industry and those beginning things where you're talking about kind of facts and statistics, those are better in a bullet form. When you're writing out recommendations or you're doing an overall review or you're writing about message or media strategies, those kinds of things need to be in a paragraph form. And you can better say what you need to say as you're explaining it in a paragraph form. So if anyone needs more clarification on that, just reach out to me and I can let you know what you should do for that. So this completes the situation analysis section of your report. The next section of your report will be the competitive review. That's number 2. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and have a great day.